First, you must realize that you have no idea before you can know the idea. We scan across all the frequencies if we want to learn anything new. Let us begin.
What has physics done for me lately? Second more, the equation E is equal mc squared. We have now acquired a fateful power to alter and to destroy nature. That's like when you're in physics and you go to a dream world saying, this is a physics excursion. Science, what is it all about? The whole of human history all falls in the dust of one stroke of a nail file. You can't really get to grips with evolution unless you realise what an enormous amount of time our own planet is only a tiny part of the vast cosmic tapestry, a starry fabric of worlds yet untold. You're tuned in to what can only be described as the best radio station on this blue dot we call Earth. It is, of course, 4ZZZ, people-powered radio. Be it on your conventional wireless radio by tuning into the classic frequency of 102.1 FM, digital devices such as DAB or smart speaker, listening via the Community Radio Plus app while you're at the gym. Hey Gabe, or streaming us live from our sensational website at 4ZZZ.org.au. And of course, you can always listen back to us or any Triple Z show for that matter using the ingenious on-demand feature, also found at that URL. We also now have a weekly podcast of the show for your listening pleasure, curated by Toby, a condensed version of the show without the music, which my mum prefers. Just search for our show name, which is, of course, No Idea, spelt with a K, your weekly dose of science. And joining me today to deliver some gold standard science, good morning, Peta.
Good, Max.
Gabe.
Morning.
We weren't supposed to say morning, and then
I know.
Yes, it's a good time of day, Max.
Toby could edit that out, can't he, or not?
Fix it in post.
Toby's a genius. I fully believe.
I feel like if Toby fixed our show in post, it'd be about 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.
We've got a text in from Toby. Yeah, thank you, Toby.
You should just get him on the show at this point. Yeah. He's like backseat driving.
But we really are puppets of Toby's at this point, aren't we?
Now, Max, everyone in South East Queensland got a bit of a shake over the weekend.
Why is that? Cold weather?
Oh, you didn't notice?
No, the shake.
Literal earthquake.
Nothing new.
Sorry. I figured it was a rare enough occurrence that it was pretty obvious what I was talking about.
Breaking news. There was an earthquake in Brisbane.
Magnitude 5 something, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, Max.
Yeah.
I'll get into the science of that a little later on, how it can happen, even though we don't have any continental plates smashing into each other anywhere near us. And I'm keen to hear reactions. I want to hear what happened in your house when an earthquake hit, because Australians are
I've seen
not
videos.
the most prepared.
No, exactly.
I've seen videos, and as a Kiwi, it's truly shocking to watch people react to an earthquake in Australia.
0420 626 733 is our text line. I'm pretty sure I sort of blank out when I go into the text line. I go into some part of my memory that just has it stored in there when we're in front of a microphone. If I ever read out someone else's phone number, I do apologise, but I'm pretty sure it's 0420 626 733. I never check it.
You know how I know it's right?
Yeah.
It's got 626 in it. That's Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
or Mazda 626. Yeah.
The number's on the website if you ever need it. I also have why about 6% of kookaburras are leaving some Queensland bird scientists mind blown. What do you got, Peter?
I've got a revisit of our crabs, our fiddler crabs, and how they get down to fiddling.
The waving ones?
The waving crabs.
Okay, Max.
And NASA has had take a look at how they test their rovers before they send them to Mars or to the moon, because they've actually discovered a flaw in the way they test them. So,
is it the fact that some of them have hard landings, as they call them? Is that one of the issues? Because I would recommend they look at that.
Just the basic testing on Earth, just to get them ready before they even fly them to the moon.
Right, their training montage to Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, they got a flaw. Yeah. Anyway. You tune into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea, your weekly dose of science, with me, Max, Peter, Gabe. We better do this. Before we get into it, how's the weather down there, kids, in Melbourne?
Yeah. Chili.
Chili.
I have 2 jumpers on.
Fair enough. What do you got first, Peter?
Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a throwback because I'm just going to tell you exactly what this is because it's sick. Scientists have made a robot crab to see if female crabs want to get it on.
Really?
This is what this show was built for, Matt.
More crabs.
Max, do you remember the last time I talked about crabs?
No, I can remember Gabe's one when he was thumping the claw.
Was that Gabe's one, was it?
Oh, was it yours, Peter?
Was it?
Sorry.
Interesting.
Sorry.
I didn't remember Gabe talking about it. I did remember me.
You're in trouble now.
Interesting. Well, to remind you, and remember this is my voice, we were looking at their whole little routine. So they were looking at fiddler crabs and what they do, which is essentially, to recap, a male crab sits outside his burrow in the sand.
Yes.
He starts waving his big claw, because they've got a normal one and the massive one. Waves the big claw, and it's quite intense. He's like, with his big claw. And then he adds in what they call body drops. So sort of like squatting, like, squatting to the rhythm. And then they do the arm and the squatting at the same time, waving, squatting. And then the thing that the last bit of research found out is that when they go into their burrow, they go thump, 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 like with their little claws.
Yep.
And what they found in that study was that using the physical rhythm of the thumping alone, the females could sort of tell how large the males were with their claws are. Even
We just had a subscriber.
It's a new one. New dawn, it's a new day, it's a new harp seal for us.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
Never heard that before. Jack, you are the inaugural new baby harp seal. So
We get
the thing that
diminishing
they found
returns
out-
on this, by the way. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
The thing that we found out about the physical rhythm was that the females could sort of ground truth how large the males were. They couldn't lie about how big their claws were. They were sort of like stuck to the truth of their real bodies. So we know the claws are really important. We've known that for a while. The bigger the claw and the faster you can wave it, the sexier you are as a male fiddler crab, which is, just like humans.
Surely there's a
obviously.
limit. Surely there's
Well,
a
you're
limit
waving
on
it way
how,
too fast.
how big a crab's claw can be before the females go, this is actually, I feel
Have you
unsafe
seen
now."
their claws? There
I've seen them.
obviously
They're
is
like
not
as
a
big
limit.
as their body.
Yeah, they're as big as their body. If there was a limit, like
Do you
another
think it's
type
just
of
a
limit.
physical limit?
I think
how
it's a
big it
physical
can
limit whether
physically
they can
grow?
pick it up.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Like, these crabs clearly don't care about practicality. They're waving around this massive
Maybe a
claw.
predator limit too if it gets too big.
Yeah, they're like, wow, what is that random claw doing on the ground?
Yeah.
This crab's like dragging it around. Yeah, no, there's a physical limit, but not so much a sexual limit. They just want the biggest claw they can physically heft in relation to their bodies. Very similar to humans. Today's researchers weren't actually interested in the females. That's something very interesting. What they were interested in was whether animals adjust their sexual displays in the presence of rivals. When you're out at the club and you're dancing, do you drop it lower if there are more, let's say, attractive people around you? Like if you're competing, do you drop it lower? Do you wave it around more? What are you doing when you see rivals? So we actually don't know much about how they respond to the details of rivals' displays. If they wave faster, if their claw is bigger, all those sorts of things, little details about like how do they actually change in competitive environments. And this is now where I get to announce that I have my new favorite acronym. It's actually really exciting. You guys know I hate acronyms usually. This research comes to us from C.R.A.B, the Center for Research in Animal Behavior.
All right.
We'll give them that one.
It's perfect.
We'll give them that one.
Let me tell you why I
Yeah.
don't have a problem with this. It accurately describes the thing we're talking about.
Yes.
It's not forced into the acronym. We don't have random other words in there. We're not skipping words. We're not going halfway through some words. It's just every word in the thing. And they don't just do crab research, which means that the crab researchers are just excited. You just get to be a crab researcher. Okay, so this was done. I clearly am the only one excited about this acronym, but I am. So they went down to southern Portugal and they found some fiddler crabs and they introduced robot crab
Yes.
named Wavy Dave. They named him. They 3D printed him and they gave him this big claw that moves through Bluetooth.
Yes.
They actually gave him a couple of different claws of different sizes, but Wavy Dave was out and ready to go on the prowl. So they put Wavy Dave on the natural mud flat with what they described as... People love crabs. People love crabs. They love having crabs. So they put him on this mud flat with thousands of other fiddler crabs. Lots of competition. And they positioned Wavy Dave 30 centimeters from a, quote, real man's burrow.
Right.
So there's real crabs right there. He's got a robot crab next to him. And then they manipulated his claw size and waving behavior. And then they recorded all of the crab's responses.
Sure.
So here's what they found. When Wavy Dave waved, real males waved for longer. They were actively competing with him, and they were less likely to retreat into their burrows. So Wavy Dave's out here waving. The other crab's like, good God, this man has stamina. I have to keep it up. Then the effect was actually strongest when the robot had a smaller claw, which I thought was interesting. Because it suggested that the males were like, hey, I'm actually bigger than you. I should be showing off. Like, you think you're impressive? Wait till you see my claw, bro. Like, I'm out here.
But if Wavy Dave rocks up with a massive claw,
which he did once,
they just sulk and go home.
They would literally not come out of their burrows. They would avoid. Theoretically, they think they're avoiding fights because that is a thing that happens with fiddler crabs. Is bigger males will just actively go out and attack them.
Sure.
And this actually happened to Wavy Dave. Some males attacked the robot, and one of them pulled off his claw.
Nice.
Which meant the researchers had to abandon that trial. Poor Wavy Dave was attacked.
That's awesome.
He's just out here on the mud flat.
Bloody clanker.
Yeah. Get away from my women. They're falling in love with AI. We've brought it to the crab world. The one thing they did say was that crabs didn't wave faster, even though females preferred quicker waving. When Wavy Dave was waving faster, the crabs were like, nah.
So there is a limit.
There's a limit. They were like, nah, that's
If
too much
Wavy
effort.
Dave's going robotically fast, it's like, oh, I don't know what that is.
I don't know if it's that they don't know what it is. The researchers said that they think they might be waiting to confirm a female's presence before putting in that extra energy of waving faster.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because remember, if you were a real crab and you had this massive claw and a relatively
Limited
little
energy,
arm, it would take a lot of energy to wave that thing
and
around.
often male displays in a lot of species of animals will have sort of steps to them, like lure in,
Yeah.
distract for a bit, or like keep entranced and then...
Yeah, so this one is start waving, start dropping, start
then
waving
close
and
the
dropping,
sail.
and then you go into
Yep.
go into the burrow, close the sail, and they will they fertilize the female's eggs in the male's burrow, and then the female releases them into the water. So the whole idea is getting a female into your burrow. Again, similarities. So the implications of these findings are essentially just that they found out that male fiddler crabs actively adjust their signaling strategy in response to rivals' behavior, not just their presence. It's not like, oh, there's a dude there, I should do something. It's, is his claw bigger? Is he waving faster? Can I attack him effectively?
We could test this on Max if we got some like AI voice to be even deeper than his on the radio next door.
Will he go deeper?
Will he go down deeper as well?
Yeah. And it's sort of... It supports this idea that sexual displays are dynamic and competitive. They're not set, which is something that I think we talk about a lot with birds, is birds have very complex mating displays. And they're often talked about as if they are set. Like, they will just do this one thing, and then if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But these guys are looking into saying, like, well, surely there is... You adjust. They're intelligent
some
creatures.
scope.
Surely they adjust
Exactly.
and see. So yeah, the next thing they want to do is make more robots to test finer aspects of the display behavior, including speed, rhythm, and synchronization with female presence. So Wavy Dave will be getting upgrades, and as soon
Did
as he
Wavy
does,
Dave pull anyone? Did it work?
Yeah.
I don't know if they mentioned that, but I'm sure looking at him, I would be surprised if he didn't. Although, again, do you remember last week when we were talking about the octopus, or 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the octopus failing the test?
Yes.
The rubber hand test, and the octopus tentacle was just pure white.
Yeah.
Like they hadn't painted it. Same thing here. For some reason, the crab is like meticulously painted, and then his claw is just white. I think researchers, this is a PSA.
Yeah, a bit of contrast.
Go to the effort of painting things, even if the crabs don't care. I do. Like, it just makes
From a
it
human's
work like a little bit
perspective,
more
yeah.
profesh.
Okay, we're going to thank two people. We've got Ant from Fortitude Valley. Thank you for subscribing. And Craig
You.
from Kelvin Grove. We also have a shout out to Elise for subscribing. Elise from Kashmir. You tuned into 4ZZZ. And the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Peta in the room, we've got Gabe, and we've got a bit of this. Hit us up, Gabe.
Max, some scientists in Queensland have found a genetically male kookaburra that had laid an egg.
Really?
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
Genetically male kookaburra
Yeah.
that showed signs of laying an egg.
But when we say genetically, do we mean chromosomally?
Oh, we'll get into that.
'cause sex has so many.
We're gonna
Sex
rip
is so
this
insane.
apart. It also may be humans' fault. like so many of the stuff, things we talk about on this show. But it comes to us
Don't
from
go eco
ornithologists.
radio on us,
We're
please.
turning the freaking cards game.
Try not to, Max, but it might force us into eco radio territory. It comes to us from ornithologists or bird scientists from the University of the Sunshine Coast. We got a QS ranking.
No,
I've seen
300.
Oh,
It's
Max.
1,001 to 1,200.
Okay.
Got a
That's
range?
very kind to you, Issy.
Now, these researchers studied the DNA from 480 birds to see if
That's a
they
lot
were
of birds.
genetically female or genetically male. The birds themselves were examined post-mortem, so they'd been arrived at wildlife hospitals in southeast
Oh my
Queensland.
God, that's a lot of dead birds.
Yeah.
It's a lot of dead birds, but they often do get just, I think, frozen and put aside for research. And they did do this across 2020 and 2021 or 2021 and 2022.
Right, 2-year period. Okay.
They had a decent chunk of time that they were doing this for. But it is a lot of birds. And in about 101 of those, no, exactly 101 of those were kookaburras. In human genomes, let's get into this genetic stuff now.
Yeah.
So in human genomes, most genetic females have the 2X chromosomes and most genetic males have the XY chromosomes. Obviously, there's variations there, but that's the typical pattern. In birds, there's a similar system, but it's a little bit different. So it's actually the ZW, the different ones in the females,
Okay.
and a pair of Z chromosomes in males. So that's how the bird chromosomes look. And so they were looking for specific markers on these chromosomes to see
Oh,
what...
that actually makes sense, though, because one of the things that birds have is that male birds generally have more physical differences, and you can get more physical differences by having two of the same chromosome. It's one of the ways your body does that.
And they were looking for markers on those chromosomes and just to look at the genetic sex. But the thing was, during the study, 6 of those 101 kookaburras had a genetic sex that didn't match their reproductive organs. So it didn't match what you'd expect to see in reproductive organs. 6% of them had reproductive organs that were different. So they had genetic females with testes or genetic males with ovaries or some sort of weird mismatch. They had a couple of weird sort of variations going on with development down both paths effectively of the of which set of organs. And most of the time it was genetically female birds having male reproductive parts. 92% of the time across all the birds they tested, it was genetic females having male reproductive parts. But they did find some birds that went the other way, including one genetically male kookaburra that had the female reproductive parts and, like I said, showed signs of recently laying an egg. And the researchers say when they got all these results back and they started coming in, there's some great quotes that they're saying they just didn't buy it. They just had to recheck and recheck and recheck what they were seeing. And they showed other ornithologists who they said were mind blown by what they were seeing because it was 6% of kookaburras, but also all of the other species they looked at, which included rainbow lorikeets, scaly-breasted lorikeets, magpies, and crested pigeons.
Wait, yeah, 6% is a lot because obviously intersex, we have a lot of intersex people in human populations, but it's a much lower percentage than 6%. 6% is high.
Quite
A lot
significant.
of these birds. So it was between 3 and 6% across all of those species. And so what we're getting at here is that it's this idea of phenotype versus genotype. So genotype is just the genetic information itself. The phenotype is how, basically the end product after all of that, the genetic information gets used. The genetic information is the blueprint. The phenotype is the house that gets built from it. So if there can be issues or not issues, there can just be differences between the blueprint and the finished product. So that's what we're talking
Genetics
about.
are
Going on
hard,
here.
basically.
Genetics are hard.
Even
There's
for your
all
body
sorts of
to
things
do.
that can go on to
Difficult.
change it. So as to why this is happening, why 3 to 6% of these birds are having their phenotypes redirected, they're not sure, but they list some possibilities. There are some natural things that can go on, right? You can get natural mutation. You can get natural recombination events of genetic material. You can get natural structural rearrangements of genetic material that can happen and cause this. But they do point the finger to some possible human-caused issues.
Yeah, here we go.
Like stress hormones could be at play, because of the human changes to their environment. Stress hormones could be manipulating certain parts of their development, interfering with certain parts of the development process. They also say they need to look into, a couple of researchers have been saying they need to do more to study if there's any link with endocrine disrupting
Yeah.
chemicals.
Yeah,
'Cause
diet.
endocrine is your hormonal system. And as a lot of people who've gone through puberty will know, your hormones have a large part in that phenotypic or your physical display of your genetics, right? Like your hormones will set that off. So theoretically, having something that we know changes that endocrine system or your hormone system could have changed. Like we've seen it in seals. The first time they saw it was in seals, harbour seals. They saw that endocrine disrupting chemicals, I think it was PFAS at the time, had changed the shape and development of uteruses in seals. That's not quite the level of what we're talking about here, but it's a similar thing of sex organs being changed.
So they really want to look into that. The case of that Kookaburra that had the genetically male Kookaburra that had the evidence of laying an egg, it was in an agricultural environment where they said it would have had a higher exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals. So they've got some anecdotal evidence that it's worth looking into, but they're not sure. What they do know is that sex reversal has been known in fish, amphibians, reptiles.
Fish get it on with sex reversal. Fish don't care about sex at all.
Rarely documented in wild birds and mammals. And so this provides some evidence that it's sitting there in a lot of wild birds. And the species they picked were deliberately picked, one, because they are pretty similar in appearance across the males and females. So they're species where you do actually need to do more than just... you got to do genetic sort of sequencing to get a lot of population information. The males and females look similar in kookaburras and lorikeets and magpies and the crested pigeons. And so that means probably is quite common, but they also look at those species because they're very taxonomically distinct. They're not that related to each other on the big tree of life. So it implies that there's probably a lot of other bird species in the gap, so to speak, of the tree of birds.
Everything between a kookaburra and a parrot, and a parrot and a pigeon.
Right. So that probably is also displaying this sex reversal in some level. And so they really need to look into it more and across other species. Now they've got it showing up in all the ones they tested. But it could have implications for conservation, particularly for threatened species, because it means particularly for these species that have the males and females appearing quite similar, if you're just basing population counts on small differences in appearance or just basing it on genetic information, you could be wrong. And if you've got a very small number of birds in a population that you're trying to bring back, if you could have this thing going on where maybe you're trying to do captive breeding. Maybe you're trying to do captive breeding or keep an eye on how the breeding pairs are doing in the wild. And this could be an issue where maybe the actual birds are recognizing that they won't accept a mate because they recognize that it's not clicking for them because it's got the sex reversal going on, or maybe they're just biologically not able to successfully reproduce, or all of these things could be going on and contributing to it. It could also be skewing the numbers of females and males in a population because, like they said, 92% of the time it was genetic females developing male reproductive parts, and they say that's. They're pretty sure that's just because developmentally birds, like mammals, start as female and then develop the male reproductive parts there. The male genes take control later on in the developmental process.
Everyone starts as a female.
Yeah,
Fun
so
fact.
they think whatever's interfering is interfering sort of early in the development and preventing that.
Oh, they don't think
next
it's
step.
like a puberty thing. They think it's
in
genuine.
development. Okay. And so there's all sorts of implications that could go on because you may not have right population counts. There could be all these interactions between how the breeding works in these birds, and they need to do a lot more work because like they've been getting at, they don't know if this is a natural thing or if it's a human caused thing or if it's a blend of both. So there's a lot more to look into. But what we do know is there's a good chunk of birds flying around outside, Max, that are exhibiting this sex reversal, and we just didn't know this was happening before.
I think that's interesting because, as I said, under the water, like fish do this all the time. It's been known for a while. Yeah. Mainly we knew it because they change shape quite drastically in some causes, like for clownfish, if the matriarch, the big female, dies, the second biggest male will grow to become a female, and he becomes quite a lot larger when she becomes the new matriarch. So that happens a lot in fish. We're used to fish just like vibing it out depending on conditions. They'll just change however they feel. But it's a huge process for them. And it's like they have to undergo all these huge... Like I think parrotfish don't eat for like 3 weeks when they're changing because it's such a big physical change. So it's really interesting to see it in birds.
Their gobbles sounded like guffaws in the early sun. But what's worse is that last night I found out they may not have even liked it. Because a new study from the University of Exeter has found out that seagulls prefer to eat seafood.
Issy, did we miss out on something last night? Well, these two have woken up in a mood, reciting poetry, tall tales of seagull woes. What's happening?
Seagull woes. It's part 3 of this. On the 1st of May 2009, after 5 years, 3 months and 27 days of traversing Mars' surface, the Mars Spirit rover got bogged. Sadly, a situation that it was unable to extricate itself from. This new research shines some light as to why it may have got stuck in the Martian soil. Mechanical engineers from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, QS ranking.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
200.
586.
450.
110. They used computer simulations to uncover a flaw in how rovers are tested on Earth. Unfortunately, this flaw leads to overly optimistic conclusions about how rovers will behave once they are deployed on alien surfaces. The team recently detailed their findings in the Journal of Field Robotics. An important element in preparing rovers for these space missions is an accurate understanding of how they will traverse surfaces in low gravity to prevent them from getting stuck in soft terrain or rocky areas. For example, the Moon has a gravitational pull that is 6 times weaker than on Earth. For decades, researchers testing rovers have accounted for the difference in gravity by creating a prototype that is 1/6 of the mass of the actual rover. They then test these lightweight rovers in deserts, observing how they move across sand to gain insights into how they would perform. But it turns out that this standard testing approach has overlooked one important detail: the pull of Earth's gravity on the desert sand. The researchers' discovery was a result from their work on a NASA-funded project to simulate the Viper rover, which had been planned for a lunar mission.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
You need the sand to also be 1/6 of the mass.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's 1/6 looser, 6 times looser than normal Earth sand. While simulating the Viper rover, they noticed discrepancies between the Earth-based test results and their simulations of the rover's mobility on the Moon. Digging deeper, the software simulations revealed the testing flaw. On Earth, sand is more rigid and supportive, reducing the likelihood it will shift under a vehicle's wheels. But the Moon's surface is fluffier, they described it, and therefore shifts more easily, meaning rovers have less traction, which can hinder their mobility. Unfortunately, amidst the cost blowouts and delays to the readiness of the Viper program was ended in July last year, with the rover planned to be disassembled and instruments and components reused for other lunar missions. But I'm saying at least some good came out of the cancelled Viper program, a better understanding and a better testing regime for future rovers. How good's that?
So good. Those crabs that sort of use their claws to thump on the ground, and the vibrations tell the female crabs how big the male one is by thumping around on it. And it got us thinking about, there's this whole thing, it occurs a lot in mammals, where a lot of mammals have evolved this ability to fake deeper vocalizations in the males as a way of appearing larger. So I don't think these crabs have quite gotten there yet, although there would be a benefit to being able to fake a deeper vibration for the male crabs. All sorts of animals. Koalas do it, lions do it, chimps do it, humans do it, all sorts of monkeys do it.
Yeah, humans do it.
The males,
So annoying.
males of the species are able to...
What are you talking about, Peter?
Well, that's right, Max. That's what I was thinking about,
Peter, that's why I thought Gabe did the crab story, because of that sting. So I
What you mean
apologise.
is you only listen to his bit of the story.
Pretty well. You
Yeah.
tuned to
I think they're
40%.
still doing really well for 3-foot-tall blokes.
And the show's No Idea with me, Max. We've got Issy.
Hello.
We've got Gabe. And we've got our friendly neighbourhood marine scientist, Peter. Where's the sting, please?
You have to ask the 18-year-old.
Still in peer review. It's being
peer review.
The reviewers are just being horrible. They're telling us to cite our own work like we haven't already.
Yeah.
They've got all this random stuff. They're trying to get their own papers cited in there. It's a whole process, Max.
And it's stuck behind a
it's
massive
messy.
paywall as
It's
well.
messy. Maybe we'll try and get it in preprint or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start this story. I don't usually do this. I'm going to start this story with a warning. Because it's so cute. Oh my God. This story will make you want to go full Whale Rider. P.S. If you haven't seen that movie, see that movie. It's a great movie. I saw it when I was 8. I don't recommend seeing it when you're 8 because it's quite traumatizing. But as adults, I highly recommend seeing the movie Whale Rider.
Right.
Anyway, this the first thing I saw of this story was a video from the side of a whale. Whale rider perspective, might I add. And you can just see this whale playing with this other whale, playing with dolphins on camera together, whales and dolphins. If you grew up into the 2000s, you'll know this is like my dream. This is everything I wanted. It's my H2O just add water dream, playing with whales and dolphins. So this study was led by Dr. Olaf Meinecke from the Whales and Climate Program at Griffith University. And I did not get the QS ranking. So someone's going to have to go get the QS ranking of Griffith.
It's like 133 or something, isn't it?
I think it's 150-ish.
Yeah, it's in the hundreds.
Good for you guys knowing it off the top of your head. And the co-author I want to shout out is Olivia Crawley, who just graduated their master's. Congratulations. My master's was not as interesting as this, so good for you. So essentially, the reason they wanted to look into this was that whales and dolphins are frequently seen interacting at sea, but it's pretty unclear whether these are examples of mutual play, so them both seeking out each other, or one-sided interactions. And they have some evidence of this where dolphins will apparently harass whales who are just trying to eat. They just come up and sort of harass them, which I guess kind of makes sense, because if you were a dolphin trying to get some fish and then something with a mouth the size of 3 of your whole bodies came and ate fish, you would probably get a little frustrated. So scientists wanted to better understand the nature of these encounters and whether baleen whales actively respond in a social or playful way. So what did they do? Essentially, they collected and analysed hundreds of photos and videos taken by scientists, tourism operators, the public, loads of different people. But then after that, and this is the bit where we get the whale rider scene from, they actually got some more recordings by suctioning camera tags onto humpback whales. So essentially suction cup cameras onto the side of whales, and then they looked at the footage afterwards. I mean, what a job. What a job. I said before I wanted to work in that octopus tricking lab. I also want to work in this lab because I just get to look at videos and of pictures of whales and dolphins all day. That sounds incredible. Specifically, they looked at 199 independent interactions across 19 species of baleen whales and dolphins. Now, baleen whales, as a reminder, are the whales Moustaceti. Does anyone remember what Moustaceti means?
Not at all.
Ooh.
Something
Pop
about
quiz.
a plate, bony plate or something?
No, opposite. So seti is like a whale. We have Moustaceti and Dontaceti. Donta meaning tooth, so toothed whale, and Moustaceti meaning mustachioid whale, because they've got the baleen, the little like for hairy teeth thing. I guess someone back in the day was like, it's got a mustache. So I always remember Moustaceti because they've got a mustache.
Yeah.
I love that.
So they were looking at these mustachioid whales and random dolphins from 17 locations worldwide. And they recorded details including the species, the number and age of the animals. I mean, obviously ages, they have to kind of guess. The date, the time, the location, the dolphins' positions relative to the whale's body parts, so rostrum, flank, fluke. Rostrum being front, flank being side, fluke being sort of the end of them, the tail. And then they analysed behaviour patterns, including physical movements, body orientation, and whether they saw any, like, to their view, aggressive or avoidant behaviours. Remember, like, a huge reminder here that whenever we talk about behaviour, we can never really talk about intention. Intention is we obviously can't survey them, and even if we could, when you survey humans, they have an ability to lie. So when we talk in wild ecology about behaviours and intentions, it's all sort of a guesstimation, right? It's based on how we see them generally. Do we think this looks friendly? Do we think this looks aggressive? And you can kind of tell over time. So they found that 1/4 of all documented encounters could be classified as mutual interactions. Them finding each other. It's so exciting. For humpback whales specifically, about 1/3 of encounters showed positive responses. Like, so the things that they would say is positive would be like they'd roll side to side, or belly presentation, which is in many, many animals a way of showing trust, you know, because you're opening your soft inside to them, you trust them. And then approaching dolphins slowly with their like face. And moving their pectoral fins towards dolphins, which they saw 172 times. Moving their fins towards them like they wanted, like they're going to pet them. Isn't that so cute? Anyway, dolphins were most often seen swimming near the whale's rostrum, like again, their mouth, their face, which is sort of similar to bow riding. You know, when you're like in a boat and the bow's up and then you see dolphins like jumping along the bow of these boats in videos. It's because it's like an energetic, it's fun for them basically. They get to have a little
fun
play.
and they get to use some of the wave energy to propel themselves.
Yeah, but it's not like, it's clearly not purely practical because it's a little dangerous, but they seem to love it. So they think that swimming next to the rostrum might be one-sided play, them using the whales literally as like a bow break underwater. And then they had some species-specific responses. So they had grey whales 56 times they saw grey whales rolling. They had 5 times across 10 events, southern right whales would do what's called a pectoral slap, meaning that they slap their fins, their side fins. And then humpbacks had very minimal aggressive responses, such as tail slaps. There was only 18 counts, and there were no head slaps recorded. There were very few aggressive encounters between humpback whales and dolphins. The video tags actually showed, and this is the video that I saw, the dolphins following the humpback whales to the seafloor and engaging in close approaches, and they think tactile play, meaning that they went and touched each other, which is just... I mean, like, this is my dream. I know this is just like me reporting on things that have happened in the ocean, but this is incredible. It's so cute. I haven't even got to the cutest bit yet. The cutest bit was that there were calves present in many interactions.
Okay.
Whale
Cool.
calves in 44 events.
Yeah.
Dolphin calves in 53. And both whale and dolphin calves in 21 events. Baby whales and baby dolphins playing together. I mean... Does it get any cuter? I feel like if I was scuba diving near that, I would just combust. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I mean, die of happiness on the spot. It's so cute. So, I mean, obviously, it's just a cool thing to happen, but it's also interesting because it shows that there are complex social behaviours, not just within a species, but sort of what we call intraspecies, meaning like between species. So we're not the only ones. We talked about this with the orcas, actually. Orcas came up to humans and offered humans food. We know that there are plenty of marine mammals who are out there actively trying to engage with other species in a way that is not predatory or really much self-beneficial in specific ways. Just sort of the same way that we try and interact with other animals, like curiosity and, I guess, play. As far as we can tell, anyway. So that's interesting, and it reinforces our belief that these animals have complex social systems just like our own. And it also helps document so that we better understand these social structures in the future. Like I said, it's hard to tell intention with behaviour, but the more videos we have of their behaviour, especially when we're not around, will help us understand what it means. We're building up the language, basically, of being able to read their body language.
QS ranking for Griffith, by the way, 268.
There you go.
Yay! Go Griffith. Yeah. And hopefully you get up to 267 next year for this research alone, because it's brought me so much joy.
You tuned to 4ZZZ. You got me, Max. We got Issy. We got Maximillian. We got Peta. And we got Gabe.
Okay, it's time for the best part of the show. Loosely defined as science, yeah, you already know. Everybody listens to 4ZZZ just to hear us talking about what Butters just did. Subscriptions just keep rolling like the tires on a car. But something tells me that our science curves won't go far. But unlike an engine, I won't keep you in suspension. We're all here to hear him talk, so let's give him attention. You're not ready for when he starts rapping. Gonna hand the mic to Max, and I'm not talking band staffing.
It's no secret that the MotoRap is a somewhat divisive segment.
Yes, within the team.
Yeah, but from
one person, me, does not like it.
But it does tick the box, the STEM box, and like science.
Does it?
Yes.
Where?
Science,
when do we talk about it?
Science, technology, engineering, and motorsport.
And when do we... Oh, right. See, we've changed the acronym.
STEM.
You got me right before I riled up. What do we call this segment now? MotoRap.
MotoRap. And we've got to thank Kev from Thornside, Helena from Butterham, Kirk from Coolangatta, Seamus from Currumbin, and Mark from Kenmore, who all helped to make
Gavin,
sure...
Beachmore, Charlie, Norman Park,
to make sure
Sharon,
the
Salisbury.
MotoRap...
So many.
So there was no MotoRap last week, which Peter was happy about.
I was ecstatic.
Yeah. So this week, we're going to change up the MotoRap a bit, and we're going to kick it off with this.
What are you smiling about? Dude, I almost had you. You almost had me? You never had me. You never had your car.
There you go.
OG, the Fast and the Furious.
2001
I've never
movie.
seen any of these movies.
Not to be confused with Fast and Furious. Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yes.
No,
or
Fast
Fast
and
9 or F9
Or
Too Fast, Too
Drift.
Furious.
I have
They
seen...
really gave up with F9, didn't they?
And yeah.
No, I've seen this. I've seen discussions about their titling system, especially with the numbers. There's not a single one that is the same. Not one.
I respect it.
I don't.
I respect it because they clearly they screwed up at the start because they had Fast and Furious and they went Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift and then they went Too Fast, Too Furious and then they went wait we've completely ruined any sort of semblance of a naming culture in this franchise.
Yes.
Surely it won't last that much longer as a
I'm
franchise.
sorry, but
Send it.
Too Fast, Too Furious, great name for a sequel.
It is.
It's better than Fast and Furious 2 Electric Boogaloo or whatever they could have come up with. Anyway.
But it wasn't the sequel, right?
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah, it was.
third.
Yeah.
It was the sequel to the first one's story.
Yes.
The second one
Yeah.
was a different story in Tokyo.
Oh my god. Right, okay.
I swear to God, Too Fast, Too Furious came out before Tokyo Drift.
Anyway.
This is how confusing this franchise is.
We took the plunge on the weekend and we watched the original, which is basically Point Break. If you've seen Point Break with Keanu Reeves, same sort of.
I have not.
A similar sort of budget and a similar sort of plot line where they got an undercover cop. In this case, it was Paul Walker. Spoiler alert, sorry.
Yeah.
He's a copper, Paul Walker, and he wants to join this gang of
it's
night
a
racers.
bit of a mystery, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Because they set it up like he rocks up to this cafe and really enjoys the tuna sandwich, which apparently is just terrible.
Crap,
like
yeah.
every character says it's terrible, and yet he's just really stoked
Yeah.
about it.
And they're sort of driving these hotted Japanese cars, aren't they?
Yeah, there's Honda Civics, right, for the heist?
Is it? Yeah.
I am a fan of Hondas.
Oh, there you go. Well,
Nice.
I love
We've
my
had a
Honda.
slight
She's
win there.
perfect.
And they were stealing VHS integrated into TV players from
Yeah, they're
Panasonic.
like 9-inch CRTs.
9-inch.
Apparently, a lot of money in those if you can get
Oh, yeah.
VHS built in.
Other than that, it's a bit of a love story going on in the background, and Vin Diesel was there, and he was, and
Vin Diesel was there.
Vin Diesel was there.
yeah, and who is his girlfriend?
What's her name?
Nice.
She plays every single Marine in Halo 2. Every single female Marine. Michelle Rodriguez. There we go.
Yeah. And they were having a real life romance off screen anyway, so it all sort of fitted pretty well.
Did you go on the IMDb trivia page for this?
That's right, I did. Anyway, the movie wasn't too bad at the end of the day. Like, it's good 2 hours of you can switch off and job done.
Yeah, so
That's what we all want from movies.
Yeah,
Switch off.
to switch off.
and Ja Rule is there for some reason.
Yes,
I'm
and
not sure what that was about. There's also a bloke named Hector who owns a garage or something, and then he comes into where Paul Walker's character's working undercover
Yeah.
to buy a lot of parts for Honda Civics, which then gets Paul Walker a bit.
yeah,
How do you say suspicious?
exactly. And then he has to rebuild his car because he blows it up and all this sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
a Vietnamese street gang blows it up, and then he then finds they break into the garage of that rival gang.
Yes.
Find the Panasonics. So then Paul Walker has to go on a raid with all his cop buddies.
Yes.
And arrest
Yeah.
them. But then the FBI guy's like, "You didn't have enough evidence, Paul.
Yeah.
What's going on? This is terrible. They've all walked."
And then he drives off into the sunset.
Oh no! Then there's the Race Wars, of course, which is definitely an interesting name for a racing event. And then there's the ADD guy races his father's car for like
Yeah,
slips
he's
as well,
69, whatever. Yeah.
and then he just has to drive off. He literally does drive off. Then Vin Diesel's character's like, "Oh, hang on, we need to quickly make some money to pay that off."
That's right.
So then they go and get the Honda Civics. But now the truck drivers have gotten wise to it.
Yes.
So now they're carrying shotguns. Apparently,
Yeah.
you got to guard these CRTs with your life. Apparently. So then this is where Brian, Paul Walker's character, has to admit to his love interest, who just happens to be Vin Diesel's character's sister.
Yeah.
It's a family affair, clearly. Has to admit that he's a copper. This goes over really well, and then but eventually she relents, says what they're doing, and he comes in and saves the day. But then it has to admit that he's a cop to Vin Diesel, which is some of the greatest acting ever.
Exactly.
I think he just is furious. He's just furious. Drives off,
Fast.
gets in his fast and furious, and
Job done.
hence the title.
Yeah.
Gets in his father's car and then wants to drive in front of a train.
Yeah.
I think is the thing,
Hmm.
but then it gets totaled by a semi instead.
Yeah. So that's how incoherent it was. So
Yes.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It made so much more sense when you
Yes.
explained it as well.
But Max got really excited when he saw me watching this film. He said, "Oh yeah, we're going to watch this," and because he knew who created the soundtrack, which was BT. So you know much of BT's music?
No, I
Apart
don't say
from-
so.
Apart from him taking the copyright off British Telecom with their BT symbol, but
Yeah, it was a big issue from on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because everyone would at BT asking for support with their British Telecom, and so they're actually just tagging an electronic music producer. But
Anyway.
he's classically trained, so he gets tapped occasionally to do soundtracks for stuff. This is no exception. Again, the score does lean quite electronic. We're not actually going to play anything from it though, because we didn't want to eat the lunch of the soundtrack show. Sorry, hang on. This is a science show. We did have to talk about the one bit of science in the Fast and the Furious, and that is nitrous oxide.
oh yes,
And how that helps with combustion. So a big problem in making an engine go fast, right, is how much oxygen you can actually get in there to aid the combustion process. You can get fuel in there fine, like with modern injection, that's all fine. How do you get more oxygen into the engine? Well, you need to use something that's better than regular air. Enter nitrous oxide.
That's it. Or you can use a turbocharger as well.
Yeah, like
or
forced
supercharger.
induction.
Yeah, forced induction.
Is the more traditional
Or nitrous.
method of getting more air into an engine. But, it's not as cool, let's be honest.
Anything you want to add to this, Peter? Now that we've got you on the MotoRap for a second
Yeah,
week.
I am wondering why you said I had to be here. I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
It's just like F1 all over again.
I will say, as someone who does not drive, I do feel validated seeing that Jordana Brewster, and Michelle Rodriguez didn't have their driver's license
Before
for this
the
film,
movie.
so they had to do driving lessons during the production. So it's proof that, yes, you can be a huge car fan, be in one of the biggest car franchises, and not drive.
Exactly.
Max, the text line's been going off, and Pez texted in saying, I never thought I'd hear such deep conversation on the topic of sneezing. This is very interesting.
This is
I
what
mean,
you get on No Idea.
this is what we're serving up.
It's
Is
par for the course.
there deeper stuff to talk about? Yes. Are we going to talk about it? Maybe later.
It's called Motor Race. Let's go. You're tuned into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea, your weekly dose of science with me, Max. We've got Issy, we've got Peter. What do you got for us, Gabe?
Max, earthquakes. We've
Yeah.
been feeling it. We got some good texts in. Mr. Starlin texted in. My sister and cousin were kayaking when the earthquake happened over the weekend, of course. They saw lots of bubbles come up in the lake they were on, but assumed it was something to do with fish until they got text telling them what it really was.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Lots of cool stories and videos coming out. But I thought I'd get into the science behind it and how it can happen in a place like Queensland where there's no continental plates
Yeah.
smashing into each other.
A little bit
which is
odd.
what we always think is what you need for an
A
earthquake.
fault line.
Yeah, and so the quake was triangulated to a little town called Kilkivan. Anyone been there?
No.
No.
I don't think I have,
Also,
actually.
I want to text if there happens to be, there's 689 people in Kilkivan.
Right.
So if one of those 689 people is listening, 0420626733, what did you feel? Because you were in the middle of it. But it's just a little west of Gympie, so, above Brisbane and inland a touch. Hit about 9:49 a.m. local time on Saturday and is reported at a magnitude of 5.6. Which I'm sure for most of us who aren't rock lickers professionally, that's a bit of a bit of a weird term that doesn't really make any sense.
If you haven't licked a rock, don't judge those who have.
It was 5.6, and the unit there is MLA, capital M, capital L, little a, and that stands for local Australian magnitude. So the Richter scale is used in that, but it's adapted then to Australian conditions.
Because it's hardly a 5.6 in Japanese or Kiwi
No,
term.
it's across. It's just used. There's different conditions happening within the
Right.
plate, so they have to calculate it differently. So 5.6 is the same, but Geosciences Australia says it uses a newer moment magnitude scale, which you may have heard of for the largest of earthquakes, which this recent one obviously was not. But on that MLA scale, which they did use, the Richter-based one, every unit you slide up means roughly 30 times more energy. So what an Australian media outlet reports is a 5.6 magnitude earthquake is about 30 times more powerful than a 4.6 magnitude earthquake and about 800 times more powerful than a 1.6 magnitude earthquake, if I've done my maths correctly there. So huge changes, right, as you go up the scale. It's not a linear increase. The largest recorded earthquake in Australia's history was a magnitude of 6.6 that hit Tennant Creek in the Northern Territory in 1988. Yeah, we're not a land of earthquakes.
We're not a land of
No,
earthquakes.
exactly.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a shaky place.
for context, the strongest earthquake ever recorded, which uses that moment magnitude scale because it's up top of the range, they get into the mid-9s, which is hundreds of thousands of times more energy than what happened near Gympie a few days ago. So what happened wasn't big, but obviously wasn't nothing either. It's the largest earthquake in onshore southeast Queensland since 1935. So the 4ZZZ neck of the woods. Biggest in the last 90 years. It was reported by 24,000 people on the Geosciences Australia website. So you can, there's a little button, you can say, I felt it, and you can report it. And you can see the graph of people saying, I felt it.
And that's what some people sounded like. Yes. Not nearly enough.
Yeah. That was our station manager last week on the show during Radiothon, being our baby harp seal, so we didn't have to keep playing its horrible sound every time someone subscribed,
which we do anyway.
And it, obviously the earthquake was felt by many more people. Apparently, it was felt as far away as Cairns and Sydney by some.
Oh wow!
So big.
Sensitive people.
Yeah, very sensitive people. They'll pick up that pee under the mattress any day.
Yeah.
The Australian landmass has no continental plates that are colliding or pulling away from each other. So rubbing. So how do we get these earthquakes? What it comes down to is stress hitting our continental plate and acting out in interesting ways. We sit on Australia, the country, is on a continental plate called Australia. So we have Australia, the country, and the Australia plate. The continental plate called Australia runs north and south a little bit beyond the landmass and a long way east and west from the country. And so the plate slices up the middle of Aotearoa, New Zealand, winds back through the Pacific, cuts through the middle of Papua New Guinea, continues out to the west through Timor-Leste and Indonesia before looping. It goes right out under India and then cuts back down between Australia and Africa and then between Australia and Antarctica, looping back around. So it's huge. It's a huge
We're a very big plate.
Pushes into the oceans on either side. And along that edge, though, a long way away, but along that edge, our continental plate is being pushed and pulled, colliding and subducting with the ones around it. And that squeezes and stresses the continent. Even long distances away from the boundary, you get a buildup of energy, a buildup of stress, and that can get suddenly released along zones in our continent's crust, which are weaker and called fault zones. Those zones are all over the place. And if you want to see a map, there's a great article in The Conversation by some experts in the field breaking this all down. And there's all sorts of cool maps you can look at. And Queensland and probably Tasmania as well on this map probably have the least amount of stress within their bits of the continental plate compared to the other states. So we're doing pretty well. But there is a line of faults, of separate fault systems, quite a lot of them, runs roughly down the coast of southeast Queensland, ending in around Brisbane. So there's this sort of line that runs down that of all of these different fault zones. So weaknesses in the continental plate where this stress can release. And that's where this most recent quake came from, right in the middle of it, basically. And that's where some weak aftershocks have come from and will probably continue coming from for up to a few weeks. Then after a while, that stress will settle down. The continental plate will settle down after that change in energy, the release in stress, and presumably you'd predict that at some point in the future we'll see more quakes coming from this general part of southeast Queensland.
I've always talked about it like a fizzy drink, right? So the way like it releases energy. So you'll do one big twist and it goes, and then you like close it quickly again, and then you do lots of little ones to get rid of the last bits of gas. Sort of a similar idea. Like there's a big crack. Basically, if the more little earthquakes you have, the less big earthquakes you have. We don't really need to worry about that in Australia because, as Gabe's saying, we don't have like the most active fault zones. But in areas that do have active fault zones, they actually want more frequent small earthquakes
to release
because that stress isn't building up.
Totally.
Yeah. Like there's a big thing that we talk about in Aotearoa at the moment where Wellington is due a big shake.
Really?
A big shake.
Okay.
And everyone's a little worried because there hasn't been a massive shake. There haven't been little ones, so it's going to be a big one. We're not really worried about it in Australia, but to our neighbours.
And sparse that may be, believe it or not, the Queensland government does have advice on what to do in an earthquake scenario.
Really?
Wait, I want to know, Max and Issy, because we did this in my first year of university. I sat in a room. Our lecturer asked a room of 200 people what they would do in an earthquake. And as a Kiwi, I was shocked at some of the answers. So I'm asking you, Australians, what do you do in an earthquake?
I have no idea what I would do.
If one hits right now, where are you going?
Under the table.
Under the table.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's not a bad answer. The best answer is a doorway. I want to be clear about that.
Yeah.
If you have like cast iron bathtubs, that's another thing you can do. But doorways were the thing that I was always taught as a little kid in New Zealand, was you go straight to a doorway. When I was in kindergarten, we did earthquake drills, and one time this kid pushed me out of the doorway and I lost my mind. I was actively dying in an earthquake. So yeah, doorways are the best because they're like very solid structures in your house.
Structurally sound,
tables are good. Just anything solid, stand to that. But do not, and this is the thing that I heard in my first year, one kid said they were going to run outside.
Yeah.
Don't do that, especially in a city, because
Yeah.
if you have buildings that aren't used to it, things like glass can come and kill you.
Exactly.
And the other thing is don't go to the basement. Do not do that. That's a bad idea too.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
The Queensland government says if a bad earthquake happens and you're inside, take cover under a table and hold on until shaking stops. And if a bad earthquake happens and you're outside, stay outside, move away from buildings and power poles.
Very good.
There you go. And they say obviously get info from television, social media, local council disaster web pages, and your radio, like 4ZZZ.
But what you should not do,
That's if the
and
power's
I want to be
on.
clear about this, is sit there and go, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
Just
Oh
what
my
happened
God, what?
on social media.
If you see the video, people just sit there and go,
Yeah.
huh,
Done.
something is happening to me and I
Yeah.
don't know what
What
it
it
is. If you don't know what's happening to you and it sounds like your house is about to fall down,
Yeah.
go under the
Under the
table
table.
Or a
go
doorway.
away.
Sick of carrying your boombox everywhere you go, but miss your beloved 4ZZZ shows when you leave it behind? Get the Community Radio Plus app from your phone's app store now. It's 15% smaller than the average app and packed with at least 500 times more attitude, 500 times more independent journalism, 500 times more local and Aussie music, 500 times more representation of subcultures. Download Community Radio Plus and save 4ZZZ and Z Digital as favorites using the little red heart icon now. But wait, there's more. If you install Community Radio Plus in the next 5 minutes, you'll get a free dose of warm inner glow. Get Community Radio Plus from your app store now.
You tune into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Peter. Okay. What do you got for us, Izzy?
I love well-named scientific papers, and the one that I'm about to talk to is fantastic. It's called X Marks the Clot, and with this type of name, you can probably imagine some of the science we'll be talking about. This science is fresh off the press, released this morning at 9:16 from the University of Queensland. QS ranking.
42.
Yeah.
I think it's
Didn't we move to 45?
No, it is 42.
It is
42.
They were 40, and then they went up to 42.
They went up to 42, yes. And it was released in the appropriately named Toxins Journal. Researchers examined Aussie elapid snakes, which are a family of snakes known for their front-sitting fangs in their mouth and exhibiting threat displays like rearing upright while spreading neck flaps. So we all probably have an image in our head. I instantly thought Red Bellied Black Snakes.
Sort of. Oh, Red Belly Blacks. Oh God.
Yes, terrifying. Many of the members of this family contain venom, which rapidly activates coagulation in the human body. And whilst this process has been heavily studied in human plasma, this study examined the evolutionary drivers behind prey-specific venom, which I didn't realize they have.
Prey? So they adjust their venom for different prey?
Yes.
How would they even do that? Like on the fly?
Well, we'll kind of talk about the different almost like processes, but they examines some of the evolutionary drivers on prey-specific venom efficiency by providing a selection of snakes. That was a diverse selection of snakes is what they put.
The snakes they have in the lab.
Yes,
we consulted our wall of snakes. And we provided them some prey.
And with different prey like amphibians, avians, and rodents, and of course more human plasma. So they basically gave them a buffet table and said, let's see what happens. They found that amphibian specialist species, which great name, like the Red Bellied Black Snake, showed slower effects on rodent plasma, whilst venom from more dietary generalists, another great term, had a broader venom efficiency, which makes sense.
Hang on, does that mean they presented the snakes, these very dangerous snakes, with food, and then once they bit it, managed to get the food back to see how their plasma.
And I dug through, like all good things, you should dig through the method and see what poor intern or what poor bachelor of zoology has had to been pushed in to try and extract said food. I couldn't find anything specifically, but just a panel of just different snakes and different foods. So
I'm sure it's insanely difficult to get the approval to do work with dangerous snakes. When they milk them for venom, they use usually like a plastic container with film on top that acts like a skin and get the venom out. So I'm wondering if they're actually holding the snake's head into and bite the prey while they're holding it and then pull it off.
I see, maybe.
digging through, it was looking at, specifically looking at clotting as coming back to kind of the title. And this is where it gets interesting. Whilst the Queensland population of the eastern brown snake and other brown snake species formed rapid but weak blood clots in prey and humans, the southern Australia population of brown snakes produced strong, stable clots across all plasma types.
Okay. If they're looking at plotting, they're probably just extracting venom and then putting into a dish.
Yeah, I was going to say, as opposed
that makes
to
way
less.
more sense.
Yeah,
I was going to say, like,
less charcuterie board-esque.
It's also kind of upsetting for the snake. You'd be embarrassed.
You would be.
Oh God, my head's in someone's hands. I just want to eat. Yeah.
So they found that this trait is shared by taipans and may be an evolutionary reversal or atavism, which is an ancestral genetic trait reappearing after what it thought to be lost through evolutionary change, which would make sense because that type of phenotype is shared by taipans and brown snakes' last common ancestor. And I've tried digging through, but it seems like someone's entire PhD work is really into uncovering this last common ancestor and where that kind of trait comes from, which is super interesting. So, of course, what does that mean for the future of venom, and specifically a lot of discussion about anti-venom as well and counteracting it. So it provides insight into looking at some of the selection pressures shaping venom function, highlighting interspecific venom variation depending on whatever species is in front of them, and the importance of prey-focused research, which is something I never realized that snakes had the ability to manipulate how the type of venom or how much venom for each kind of whatever species is in front of them.
I would have thought it was just a set dose of whatever they've made.
Yes.
It's very expensive. A lot of energy goes into the production of venom, so a lot of snakes won't use it unless they feel like they need to, which is why some people, not that you should ever assume this has happened, but some people will get bitten by a venomous snake and not actually have much, if any, venom injected into them because it's more of a defense strike and they don't want to use the venom. But yeah, it's amazing, that they can do this, and it's amazing how this like evolutionary arms race between the predators with venom and their prey. But then sometimes it's just these weird little moments in evolution where it short circuits and you get the same sort of really specific impacts, but just randomly. Like a good example is a funnel web spider on humans. There's no reason for a funnel web spider's venom to be extremely toxic to humans, but it's just because of sheer chance it's affecting the similar stuff that it must be doing in its target prey. And so
same thing with a cone snail, actually, which is the thing I'm probably most afraid of in the ocean. I have been tracked by a cone snail. They have an incredibly strong neurotoxin because snails famously are not the fastest creatures. So, and they eat fish. This cone snail eats fish. And so to stop fish, they have essentially a harpoon that is loaded with one of the strongest, most potent neurotoxins on the planet to immediately immobilize a fish. It's so strong it doesn't take very long to immobilize a whole human either, even though there is no way they need to eat a human.
I'm also going to highlight from the researchers of this paper that it is interesting seeing how mutations in like geographic mutations almost between your north and your north and south eastern brown snakes. One thing they pointed out.
Which eastern brown snake am I preferring?
Yes. They said that, diet also steers venom evolution, with southern populations consuming more reptiles than the northern populations, which eat more mammals. So that comes back to that kind of energy and efficiency of venom as well. So, super interesting research.
I taught some primary school kids yesterday the difference between venomous and poisonous. I thought I'd repeat it here now because I saw this post, I think 15 years ago now on Tumblr, and it was the first thing that really got it stuck in my head. It bites you and something bad happens, it's venomous. If you bite it and something bad happens to you, it's poisonous. That's the difference. It's who's biting who.
Very good. You tuned to 4ZZZ. The show's No Idea with me, Max, Issy, Peta and Gabe. No Idea, space news. You know it. So the playlist has been space this week because on this day Voyager 2 launched on its mission. It launched in 1977. And this just demonstrates how big space is because, as we know, Voyager 2 has gone interstellar. Unfortunately, Voyager... What?
This just demonstrates how big space is.
Well, it will.
Space is big, guys.
Voyager 2 is interstellar, and unfortunately, Voyager 2 is not headed toward any particular star. But in roughly 42,000 years, right, Voyager 2 will pass the star Ross 248 at a distance of 1.7 light years.
Ooh.
Then, if undisturbed for the next 300,000 years, Voyager 2 should pass by the star Sirius at a distance of 4.3 light years. So,
Isn't that brilliant? And the wonder of technological advancement will be that whatever we send up when's Voyager getting there in 42,000 years? Yeah. If humans are still around in 1,000 years and send something up, it's going to fly past it on the way to those stars.
Yeah. And if aliens manage to intercept Voyager 2 and get the golden record off it, they'll hear this.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Very nice. Starship is ready and expected to fly this weekend. It will be flight test number 10. They've worked out what happened to the other two missions, 8 and 9, so hopefully Starship can complete its number 10 mission in full this time. And I spoke about the rover, Spirit rover, during Weird Science, so you can listen back to that. It should be noted the rover completed its mission before it got stuck. It's 90 Sol days, or Sol's a day on Mars, which is approximately, so 90 Sols equals 92.5 Earth days. It was aided by a cleaning event that kept its solar panels clean, which meant the Spirit rover went on to function effectively for 22 times longer than NASA expected. Bit like Ingenuity, isn't it?
Yes.
Spirit also logged just under 8 kilometres of driving instead of the planned 600 metres. Allowing more extensive geological analysis of Martian rocks and planetary surface features. And then, as we know, it got stuck on May 1, 2009. The ongoing effort to free it continued until January 2010, when NASA officials announced that the rover was likely unrecoverable due to its location in soft sand. The rover continued to play a stationary science platform role until communication with Spirit stopped on March 22, 2010. And then JPL continued efforts to regain contact with Spirit until May 24, 2011, when NASA officials announced that the efforts to communicate with the rover had ended, calling the mission complete. RIP.
I have some space news, by the way, and I think we should talk about this.
Yes.
As of yesterday, Uranus has a new moon, everybody.
Oh, yes. Exactly.
Uranus has a brand new moon. It apparently... What's up, Gabe? Is there some problem with Uranus?
New moon.
Yeah. It's the new Stephanie Meyer book. Yeah. So it's a new moon. It's apparently the smallest moon, which might have been why we missed it, you know?
It's 10 kilometres across, apparently. 10 kilometres.
Currently, it's called S/2025 U1, but they are going to name it Uranus has, like, most of the planet's moons have naming systems. The Uranus's one is characters from Shakespeare's plays. Currently, there are ones like Puck, Juliet, Cupid, Portia, Ophelia, Bianca, Desdemona. I would like to say that this new moon, maybe because it's so little, and it's on Uranus, can we please call it Bottom?
Nice. Sign us out, Gabe.
That is all we have time for. This show has been brought to you by all the wonderful people who subscribed to 4ZZZ during Radiothon last week. If you're one of those people, thank you, because genuine, heartfelt thank you, because you keep this station and this show on air. It was an amazing response. I think we hit about 94% of what the goal target was of how many subscribers we'd been shooting for to get, to run through to the next year of 4ZZZ.
Yeah.
So to get us over that line, if you've been thinking about it, it's 4ZZZ.org.au, and there's a couple of the prizes that you can go into the running to win that have been extended for a little while, a couple of weeks, I think.
Which is good news to everyone who subscribed today, and thank you to those people as well.
Absolutely. Do you have those prizes, Izzy?
I do. You've got the Triffid Gold ticket, your 5-star Cinema Gold ticket, the Netherworld Games Cabinet and Treasure Trove, and the Princess Theatre Golden ticket. Those will be available in the tailwind of Radiothon, so I believe to the end of this month. So don't hesitate. Don't feel like you've missed out. Still subscribe, 4ZZZ.org.au/support.
back in your ears next week. Between now and then, give a crab a wave and never judge a kookaburra by its cover. You can listen back to all of our stories and all of our shows on the website, fortripplez.org.au, or whatever podcasting platform you use to search up No Idea. That's No with a K. What are you playing us out with, Max?
I'm playing us out with some Babylon Zoo, and the song is called Spaceman, and we'll talk to you next week.
I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.